welcome to a spotlight on her story, a conversation panel with the young women and girls of today's girl and tomorrow's woman. And I'll be your moderator and host for tonight. I am Meshelle, the indie mom of comedy, and super excited to be here with you all. Without further ado, I want to take a moment to introduce to some and to reintroduce to many the founder, the co-founder, and convener of today's girl, tomorrow's woman, just to give you just a few words of welcome and have you guys hear from her for just a few moments. So please help me bring to the panel Ms. Tara Bellevue.
Thank you, Meshelle. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight. I am so honored and excited to bring to you some amazing women, young women who have been just a light, a beam, a joy for me to know, to recognize, and to provide this platform for. I'm excited for tonight's opportunity to give you this virtual panel discussion where we'll be talking about some current events and some future aspirations, and to really truly be able to connect these amazing young women with amazing women like yourselves. We have on the call, on the Zoom in the audience, I see the CEO of NAF, J.D. Hoy, a former Woman of Today honoree. I also see Superintendent Karen Watts, also a Woman of Today honoree. Some very proud mothers in the audience, as well as family and friends and other educators to support all the great things that these young ladies are doing. So without further ado, I turn it back over to your amazing moderator this evening to introduce our panelists and enjoy this presentation.
Okay, ladies, gentlemen, all of you all who are here tonight, I want to take a moment to introduce our panel for tonight. Very excited. I want to have our panelists inadvertently, please take yourselves off of mute so that once I introduce you, you can say hello. First, I'd like to introduce one of our panelists. I just want you guys to just say hello, tell us what school you attend, what year you're in, and tell us a little bit about where you're from. So first, I want to welcome in Alyssa. Alyssa, could you please introduce yourselves to our viewers?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Torres. I attend the Young Women's Leadership School of East Harlem. I am a junior going into my senior year, and I'm from New York City.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And can we get you to introduce yourself, Jada?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jada. I was the valedictorian for the class of 2020 for the Academy of Finance and Enterprise, and I'm from Far Rockaway, Queens.
Thank you so much, Jada. Katie, can we get you to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Aycock. I am a recent graduate of Oklahoma State University. I majored in international business and marketing.
Thanks, Katie. And Emony, can we get an introduction from you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Emony Robertson. I am from Queens, New York, proud, proud, proud. And I am currently a rising 2L at Howard University School of Law.
Excellent. And Maria. Maria, can we get a hello from you? Maria, can we get a hello from you?
Hi, I'm from Astoria, New York, and I go also to Academy of Finance and Enterprise, and I'm gonna be going to my senior year.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria. And be sure to put yourself on video so we can see your beautiful face. There you go. Thank you, Maria. And welcome, ladies, to a spotlight on her story. We wanted to hear from you all because there is so much happening in real time in our current country. And so we wanted to talk and hear from these amazing young women of today's girl, tomorrow's woman. So I'm going to ask the same question to all three of you, all five of you rather. And I'd like to you guys to take a moment to answer. Let's start with you, Maria, since you're still on screen. The question is, you know, this is the first time in all of our lives, I can speak for myself and you can speak for yourselves, that we've ever experienced a global pandemic and its impact on all of us. Maria, as a rising senior and finishing out your junior year, how has the pandemic affected you, your family, and education for you?
I personally think that 2020 has definitely been a rough year just because I've never experienced online learning, and it was definitely a difficult process transferring there. And I think that with anything, any struggle, you can always overcome it if you are willing to. And I've taken the time to revert and do things that I wouldn't normally do. And even though the pandemic has caused a lot of damage, I've learned that, you only live once, and it's better to do things now and experience life.
Excellent. Thank you. Alyssa, what about you? How has the global pandemic affected your education, your family, just your everyday life as a student?
Yeah, it's definitely a switch. I'm used to walking to the bus every day, taking it for a good 20 to 30 minutes, and then waking up and seeing that I have no classmates around me every day is a huge change. I would say definitely mine is related to Maria, where it was a transition at first. Definitely, I was not used to anything. But like she said, you live life once. You got to keep going. When we went into quarantine, obviously, I was near the end of my junior year, and I was at a state where it was like, I do not need my teachers technically, but I know some of my fellow classmates do. So I was basically a tutor for most of my classmates because of the fact that I am a very individualized learner. I can grasp the information given to me, but a lot of my fellow classmates couldn't. So I was providing help to a lot of them. So it was an interesting turn of events, definitely.
Excellent. Katie, what about you coming out of college, your last year of college in Oklahoma? How did the pandemic impact you educationally? How did it impact your family? Just how did it impact you?
Well, I think, the first thing when I found out that we weren't going to be coming back from spring break, that was that, that sense of disappointment because I wasn't going to have a normal finish to my college experience. But, I've really taken the extra time to kind of, reflect upon myself and the skills that I need to improve on. And, finishing college online obviously isn't or classes in general online isn't what any of us would have chosen. But I think we know that, it's for the good of everyone for us to social distance. And I think it was, it's a little bit of adversity for all of us to overcome, but in the end, I think it'll all make us stronger.
Thanks, Katie. Jada, can I hear from you about it?
Yes. Like Katie, I also ended my senior year at home, and at first it was really hard to get used to the remote learning, trying to adjust to the different ways the teachers wanted to assign the homework. And well, I got through it. The thing was that I know a lot of us seniors were looking forward to a great end to the year, with the activities and everything. And even though we did not get to experience that, we still were able to learn and understand that we can overcome any obstacle that's thrown at us. And even though our graduation wasn't as how we imagined it to be, it was still something that showed that the school actually appreciated us. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for being able to actually be valedictorian. It was like a great joy the first time I found out. So there's many little things I looked at that I saw the good in, because obviously there's a reason why we had to do online learning. It was for the good of everyone. And I think it's very important and I'm happy that our school, we all came together to comfort each other in this time of need.
Excellent. Thank you, Jada. Emony, second year, were you finishing your second year of law school, or were you completing your first year when the pandemic came out?
I was definitely completing my first year of law school, which was not made to be online at all. And so that transition was definitely rough. But I think to Jada's point about coming together, one of the more difficult things that I think I faced was understanding that I was in a position of privilege of not being forced to have to go back home, right? And I think a lot of my colleagues, some who are very young, some who are older, their worlds kind of shifted. I know I have friends who were in college who were asked to leave campus. There were folks here in DC at the law school who were asked to vacate the campus premises. And so I think that was hard, but also realizing that, for me, I'm the eldest of 5 girls. And so had I not had, the opportunity to stay in DC, I really would have been trying to complete a very, very difficult educational process in a home with 5 other people. And I think one of the things that quarantine has given is definitely perspective on how to, I have some classmates who have had some serious hardships with wrapping up their first year of law school, not knowing what was going to happen with employment, not knowing what was going to happen with housing. And it gave you perspective on what was important. And I think as I wrapped up my first year of law school, a time that is known to be very pivotal to anyone's legal career, I had to have in perspective what was important for me, my mental health, relying on my friends and trying to support those however I could, but also realizing that school, while very important, was not the most important part of everything that was happening in my life as people who, were losing their parents and family members. So I think that became a much more focusing thing for me, having so many of my close friends be affected by COVID.
Right. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm going to pivot a little bit. Not only have we had an unprecedented global pandemic, in 2020, but to be very frank and very clear, we would be remiss not to mention the huge social justice movement that has taken place in tandem at the very same time that we're dealing with the global pandemic. Now we're dealing with, and we all have to come into the reality of a 400-year cycle of systemic oppression, racism, and disenfranchisement of African American people, of Black people in America. And the George Floyd case, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and it's sadly too many to name. We've had to reckon with that alongside a global pandemic. And oftentimes we don't get to hear from you ladies. We don't get to hear from our young women about what has this social justice movement, this social justice pandemic, what has this shifted in your life, if at all? And what impact has it had on you, your family, or even the way that you will move forward as young women? Emony, let's start with you because you're a law student. There's a lot of legal precedent happening right now. There's a lot of unprecedented things happening in the Supreme Court right now. There's so many really pivotal things happening legally, socially, as it relates to social justice, as it relates to change and advocacy. Emony, tell us what this particular social justice moment has been to you.
You mentioned that I'm in law school, and one of the interesting parts of being a law school student during this time is you can play many different roles. I think to the forefront immediately, it was very taxing to be in a predominantly white industry that wasn't addressing it for the first couple of weeks, right? George Floyd's death it took place after a series of deaths back to back. After having personal family members and friends pass away, and I watched my friends who were quarantining go on the front lines and protest. And so I began to ask myself, what is the role that I want to play right now, right? Because there are so many different roles that you can play. Some law school students, we, went through trainings and became legal observers. Others, a friend of mine, she and I went and bought a bunch of food and a bunch of Ziploc bags and a bunch of snacks and waters to make sure that people would have, whatever they need. We bought a lot of milk because the tear gas. And I think it really, for me, helped me to think about the young women who are on this panel, it was their moment to also step up and their moment to shine. But I had to ask myself, as someone who's in my mid-20s, what role do I want to play in the way that history is telling the story of my ancestors, right? Why is it that I am seeing some of the same issues that they saw when they marched? And so I think being at Howard during this time gave me the support that I needed, a support I didn't know that I needed, because I think as an African-American woman, my Blackness doesn't just come up when it's on the media, right? I see it every day, and I experience all the wonderful parts of it, of being talented, but also the weight of knowing that, you know, my children or even myself could be harmed from walking outside. And so I had that support, but I was also able to receive institutional support and support amongst my friends, and to try to support them as well, but also know, hey, this is a lot. And some days I have to take a step back and breathe, because there's a lot happening personally, but also globally. So yeah, just figuring out how to play my role, but also preserve myself, because some of the biggest resistance you can do as a Black person is keep your mental well-being.
Right. Thank you, Emony. Let me shift. Alyssa, how did this social justice moment, historical moment, how did it touch you in any way, or your family or your friends?
So specifically this moment, it took me time to realize my privilege. As a person of color, yeah, I'm extremely light-skinned. So that I have almost that white privilege, sort of, in certain areas I would have that white privilege. So I really had to step back and ask myself, what can I do to help me, my family, and my friends, specifically my African-American friends? And as Emony was saying, what is my role? So I took this time to talk with my brother, and we were talking about the education system, and we were talking how there's protesters, they're making as much noise as they can, they're doing their job, but the education system within itself is not. So we were starting up a nonprofit, actually, on education reform, and bringing in people of color, specifically Black people of color, to come in and talk to students in different professions like law school, learning about redlining, and everything within itself, and coming in and talking to schools and whatnot. And that's what I'm currently in the process of doing. And it's making me rethink of what I can be doing to help others and myself and my family and my friends and just everything in general, and also giving spotlight to the people who need it. I'm not always at the front lines. I have to take my steps and go backwards and allow people to come to the front. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Jada, answer that question. How did the social justice pandemic impact you, or did it impact you or your family, or shift your thinking in any way? Jada?
Yes. Well, when it first happened, I was thinking, like, how could this be happening in, like, right now? After all that we came from, that this shouldn't be happening. But during it, it's kind of a slight benefit that this happened during this pandemic, because a lot of people, they're at home, they have nothing to do. So this was the time that they're able to actually realize the injustice. And I think that's what really caused a lot of people to speak out about it, because it's something that they didn't really notice before. Like, it's been around, it was present, a lot of people understood that this injustice was present, but a lot of people didn't really care, and they went about their lives, they're busy. But now no one was busy, no one had anything to do. So they stepped up and, like, they took action talking about people of color, because that we all, as you fight for the Black Lives Matter, you don't fight only for Black lives. You fight for anyone of color. You fight for equality. And I think that was very important. And I love that a lot of people supported this cause. Even around the world, you see a lot of people supporting this, because it happens everywhere. There's many places where racism is present. And it's something that we have to work towards fixing, one step I think we should take is doing more of educating, like Alyssa was talking about. We need to, I feel like it is important that we try to like educate students about these situations, about real life situations, so they're not oblivious to these important facts.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think it's more people should be aware of where we're coming from and how important this cause really is.
Thank you so much, Jada. Katie, can you weigh in, sweetie?
Yeah, so I think my biggest takeaway from the Black Lives Matter movement and all of this, the social pandemic that's happening right now, is that the buzz behind it and the drive behind it probably wouldn't have happened without the pandemic, because as Jada just said, people are sitting around, they're sitting and seeing what's going on, and they're thinking about it more, and they're seeing, okay, we have to change this, things have to change. And as someone, as a white woman, I can see the privilege that I have, and I can see the ways that I can use that privilege to educate others and to use my voice to be an ally. I'm from Kansas, a very white community, a very white area. And, you know, it could be easy for me to say that this doesn't affect me, but that would be very naive of me. Because as a young person, I can see the way that my generation is pushing for change and pushing for equality. And personally, I'm doing, you know, everything I can from quarantine to educate people and try and further the movement as much as I can.
Thanks, Katie. Maria, can we hear from you on that? And then we're going to have our final question.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of people open their eyes to this issue. It's like you said, it's not like an issue that just came out of nowhere. It's been happening for years now. And I definitely, my parents are at high risk for COVID, so I didn't protest, but I definitely took to social media and used it as a platform to advocate for Black Lives Matters and inequalities that have been happening. And I think this platform is, I think it's a great platform to have to show your opinions and support the movements and protests.
Thanks so much, Maria. Ladies, you guys are so brilliant. Let me just ask you this final question as we wrap up. Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman is very intentional about being supportive, about providing programming and providing mentors and providing real life, real time opportunities to girls all over New York City. That being said, how do you ladies see today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman being even a greater support to you and to other girls throughout New York City? Let's start with you, Katie. I know you're not, you know, in New York or from New York, but knowing that today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman is a platform that supports girls getting all the support they need, all the mentorship, all of the internships, all the opportunities, how would you, if you could give today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman one piece of insight, what would that be? How could they support? Katie?
I think it's just using discussions like this and, you know, using the way that we can connect with each other to support and lift each other up. I mean, I know you said that's the whole mission of the organization, which I love so much. And I think that having more events like this, and, you know, having like networking Zoom calls where, you know, anybody can join and discuss whatever's current right now, or just maybe like paired mentorship, or just connecting and empowering women as much as we can.
Awesome. What about you, Alyssa? How can TGTW provide support? What's your insight?
So basically what Katie said, to keep doing what you guys are doing and more panels like this. I feel like a lot of us are not heard enough. And since they don't feel like they don't have an outlet, they kind of sit in the back and don't really feel the need to speak up. And I see the change, but programs like this one help so much. And it gives girls a voice. And specifically for like what I want to do, education reform, just having this or having like this program as a support and networking helps so much and allows me to meet new people and just make my circle bigger and build bridges between children and students and professionals, and it's just wonderful. So yeah.
Excellent. Jada, Maria, and then Emony. Jada, how do you see TGTW, Today's Girl, being a support?
Well, obviously in this in this trying time. I see that there's, especially as a lot of people try to adjust, maybe going to college or transitioning into college, maybe there could be like support or mentorship, or even anyone like who needs like help, like someone to talk to about what they're going through. That would help a lot, because a lot of people are not in a good mental state right now with everything that's happening. And I also do feel like you should also continue to do what you're doing, because we need to bring awareness to many of these important causes. And I think it's a great thing what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Jada. Maria?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jada. This is the perfect outlet to bring awareness to other people, and it's also a really great outlet for people that maybe aren't feeling, they're feeling isolated at the moment, and maybe are struggling with like mental issues, to have a safe space to talk to someone. And also, like Jada mentioned about college, I'm transitioning into senior year, and I definitely have a lot of questions about college, and it would be really great if I had an outlet or somebody to talk to about like my next options and next steps.
Excellent. Emony, can you close us out as an alumni who was once a participant and then became a mentor and now is certainly going to continue supporting? How do you see Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman serving as a support for young women in New York City?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question, simply because I was just saying to the founder, I said, when I was in New York, I felt like I could, access the girls and talk to them one-on-one. And I just said to her, I said, I am loving these virtual sessions, right? I think this is a moment where Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman's reach is going to happen through social media, and even faster when we connect with one another. And so I want to say to each of the young women that I have the pleasure of being on this panel with, one, congratulations on everything that you're doing, and two, spread the word, right? Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman, it prides itself on creating its network of women. And as you continue to log into these sessions and you continue to just reach out to any of the panelists, I hate to put her on the spot, but Alyssa actually just messaged me and was like, hey, I would love for us to connect. I'm the type of person, I'll give you my cell phone number. I don't mind. We can be on the phone for a couple of minutes. That is fine with me, right? So it's super important for you to, I'm at firms, and I think Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman really instilled this in me. You can take the agency over who you want to connect with in spite of the circumstances that we currently have. Use social media. If you hear of a person online, reach out to them. And Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman is a great way to funnel that. So, Maria, you mentioned college. There are a lot of women who have been on the panels over the past couple of weeks on Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman panels, who have been through that process, who work in colleges or have worked as professors, or maybe they just have many children that they've helped through the process. You never know who's willing to help. And I would just say, as long as the organization continues to host wonderful opportunities like this, I'm in my studio apartment, but now Alyssa is someone that now has my number. We're gonna connect, and then she's gonna help me with some education reform years from now, and it'll be because of this moment. So
outstanding. Outstanding. Ladies, you were absolutely outstanding. We've reached our final minutes, and I personally feel so privileged to have been a part of Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman for so many years now. I'm looking forward to doing more. And I love the fact that you guys all had an opportunity to share your ideas. That's what this is all about. So I want to thank you on behalf of Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman for your brilliance, for your unapologetic truth. I am refreshed to hear your honesty. I'm sure that our listeners and our viewers are refreshed to hear from you. And we're going to take a moment to close out with Tara Bellevue, the founder, alongside co-founder Marsha Iverson. We're going to hear from Tara just for a minute, just to say thank you. And on behalf of Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman, Meshelle, the indie mom of comedy, I thank you so much. Feel free to follow all of these girls. I'm sure you can get their platforms in the chat. You all can follow me at Meshelle Comedy. That's Meshelle Comedy. Tara, let's hear from you as we close out.
Wow, this was so amazing. Thank you so much, Meshelle, for moderating this amazing panel. To Alyssa, to Jada, to Maria, to Katie, and to Emony, I humbly say thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for opening our eyes to many things that we haven't seen. I've been taking copious notes, and today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman mission is to engage and empower young women and to open you up to a network of amazing people. On the Zoom call, we have CEOs, we have superintendents, we have principals, we had lawyers. There's a variety of individuals, and this network I open up freely to you. So let's all stay connected. As Meshelle referenced, please follow us on our social media platforms. Know that in terms of volunteering, donating, and supporting, a quick email shot to info@todaysgirl.tomorrowswoman makes that a reality for all of these young women. And it is not just in New York City, but across the country. We want to continue to spread the word and open up many opportunities and doors for all of these young women. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This is a catalyst. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good night.